They say the roads through Appalachia are carved not just through earth and stone, but through memory, through things we were never supposed to find. I used to believe road trips were simple, just movement, asphalt and radio stations, snacks, and strangers, a way to escape. But I've come to understand something darker. You don't drive into the Appalachian Mountains. You drive through something much older than we can name. The forests, the fog, the silence, it all watches you. And if you're not careful, something ancient might follow you home. Something that doesn't show up on maps. At least, not until you've already taken the wrong turn. I'm Dr. Bonechill, and what I'm about to share with you isn't a story, it's a warning. 3 real accounts, sent to me in letters, emails, whispered phone calls at 3 a.m., from men who thought they were just taking a trip. Each of them brought something back, and none of them were ever the same again. Let me ask you something. Have you ever felt like you were being pulled somewhere? Like your hands were on the wheel, but something else was guiding you? No? Then listen closely, because after this, you might start noticing the signs. Before we begin, hit that like button to keep this darkness spreading. Subscribe to Dr. Bonechill to help us reach 10,000 brave souls. And comment below if something like this has ever happened to you, or someone you know. Now, let me take you to Berea, Kentucky, where a man found a map that shouldn't exist. A map that wouldn't stop changing. Story 1. The map that drew itself. My name's Ethan. I live in Dayton, Ohio. Quiet neighborhood. Good job at an HVAC company. 1 kid, 1 mortgage, 1 manageable marriage. It's the kind of life you don't question unless something cracks it open. Mine cracked last October when I found that map. It started on a Friday. My buddy Connor and I had planned a short road trip down to Berea, Kentucky. Nothing epic, just a 2-day break from everything. Hit some scenic overlooks, hike the pinnacles, maybe grab a few beers. The route was simple. I-75 south, turn off, near Richmond, then follow signs. But about 30 minutes into the drive, while Connor napped in the passenger seat, I noticed something odd at a gas station just past Lexington. It was this little rusted rack of tourist maps sitting next to the ice freezer. Most were junk, pamphlets for cavern tours and mining museums, but one caught my eye. It wasn't in a plastic sleeve like the others, just folded, aged, and handwritten. Thick yellow paper, sharp ink strokes like calligraphy, no title. No logos. Don't know why I picked it up. Maybe it was the way it felt, warm, almost buzzing in my hand. Maybe it was the fact that it showed roads I knew didn't exist. A small road looping through the woods east of Berea, where nothing but protected forest should be. I brought it to the counter. The old woman behind the register didn't even blink. "You can take it," she said before I spoke. "That one finds who it wants." I should have left it right there, but I didn't. Back in the car, I unfolded the map. That strange looping road, labeled Cryer's Hollow, was now circled in red ink. I swear to God it hadn't been circled before. I thought, maybe Connor did it as a joke while I was in the bathroom, but when I asked him, he just shrugged. "What hollow?" I was asleep, man. We drove the route anyway, because, curiosity and all that. Maybe we wanted to believe it was just some forgotten scenic detour, something cool to post online. But that road didn't exist on GPS. In fact, once we left the main highway and followed the map's path, cell reception vanished entirely. Just dense woods, no signs. Just old asphalt crumbling beneath the tires like no one had driven it in decades. At first it was beautiful, red and orange leaves spinning down in the late afternoon light, birds calling in the distance, no traffic, no noise. Then, slowly, the light dimmed. Not sunset, just a sudden gray dullness. The kind you see before a thunderstorm, but without any clouds. The air thickened. Connor kept glancing at the map, saying, "Dude, this thing is wrong. It's changing." I looked down. The red circle had moved. We were inside it now. New roads had drawn themselves in ink that looked fresh. The paper even felt damp where the lines had appeared, like it had just been drawn while I was holding it. And then we saw it. A house, alone in the hollow, tilted slightly as if the land had shifted beneath it. No lights, no cars, just a single rusted tricycle in the yard, its front wheel slowly spinning. We stopped. I don't know why. Instinct, maybe. Or maybe the map wanted us to. Connor said, "Let's go now." But I was already walking toward the porch. The wood moaned under my boots. The door creaked open before I touched it. Inside, it was like time had stopped. Dust in the air. An old phonograph in the corner spinning, needle gently bumping the end groove. No photos. No furniture except a chair facing a blank wall. And above the chair, a map. An exact replica of the one in my hand. But this one was moving. Lines, crawling across the parchment in real time. Roads drawing themselves, expanding like veins. The ink bled out toward one point. Toward us. Connor screamed behind me. I turned. He was holding the car map, which had begun dripping. Dripping ink. Like it was bleeding. We ran. Back through the woods. The road behind us no longer looked the same. Trees leaned in. The light dimmed further. I swore I saw something. In the trees, a figure watching. Tall, thin, covered in parchment skin. We never found Cryer's Hollow again. When we finally got back to the highway, the map was blank. Just a sheet of yellowed paper, perfectly clean. I don't keep it anymore. I burned it. Took 3 tries, it wouldn't light. But even as it turned to ash, I swear I heard whispering in the smoke. Connor doesn't talk about it. He moved to Arizona. Won't answer calls. As for me, I still take road trips, but never south. Never anywhere near Berea. Sometimes, late at night, I dream of roads that weren't there yesterday. Maps that appear on my desk. And once, just once, I saw a red circle on my phone's GPS, no origin, no destination, just the road. You still with me? Good. Because that was just the beginning. What would you have done with that map? Comment below and let me know. And if you're ready, buckle in. Because the next story's darker and far more personal. Let me tell you about a man who brought home a cassette tape from a gas station in the West Virginia hills. A tape that played voices that weren't on it before. Story 2. The Voices on Route 52. I never liked driving at night, but I had no choice. It was early November, and I was heading back to Charleston from a job site in Welch, West Virginia. I took Route 52, winding, narrow, and slow, the kind of road where your high beams feel like candles against the dark. I'd done the drive a dozen times. But this time I stopped at a rundown gas station near Gilbert, the kind that still sold cassette tapes in a rotating wire rack. Something about it drew me in. One tape stood out. No label, just a handwritten word on the side. Listen. I asked the clerk how much it cost. He didn't look up from his paper. Take it, he muttered. Been sitting there too long. Back in the car, I slid the tape into my old player, half expecting it to jam. Static hissed, then silence, and then voices. Not music, not a story, just people talking. At first I thought it was a recording from some old therapy session. A man describing dreams of deep wells and a woman whispering numbers like she was counting something behind a wall. Then it got worse. The voices started to change. They began to know things about me. One voice, male, shaky, said my name. Not once, but 3 times. Then, "You shouldn't have taken the tape, Aaron." I hit eject. It didn't stop. No matter what I pressed, the voices kept playing. A child crying, a woman gasping, and then something that sounded like me. My own voice panicked, screaming the words, "Stop the car." I did, right on the side of the road, shaking. I tried to throw the tape out the window, but my hand froze. Literally. I couldn't open my fingers. It was like my body had decided to betray me. And then the headlights died. Everything went black. No power. No engine. Just the sound of breathing inside the car that wasn't mine. I don't remember falling asleep, but But I woke up at dawn. Car. Still off, tape gone. Later, a mechanic said my car had no battery issues. But every time I drive past that stretch of Route 52, my radio crackles. And sometimes, just faintly, I hear a voice that sounds like mine whispering a date I haven't reached yet, a future date, and I don't know if it's a warning or a countdown. You ever hear something on a tape that shouldn't have been there? Drop your story in the comments. Still with me? One more road left to drive. Next up, a weekend camping trip in the Smokies, where a man found an old camera in the woods, and the film inside? It had pictures he didn't remember taking. Story 3, The Camera in the Trees. My name is Marcus, and I used to love solo camping. Not the fake kind either. No Wi-Fi, no campgrounds with vending machines. I'm talking remote, deep woods kind of camping. The kind where the nearest human being is 5 miles of brush and black bear away. Last spring, I took a weekend off and drove south from Knoxville into the Smoky Mountains, planning to hike into a stretch of forest about 30 minutes east of Gatlinburg. I had a basic topo map, a backpack full of gear, and enough freeze-dried meals to last me 3 days. That's it. That's how it always starts. I parked near an old pull-off, barely a patch of gravel at the end of a twisting mountain road. The forest was deep, thick with birdsong and early spring mist. The first day was beautiful. I hiked until dusk, made camp near a bend in a river, and cooked a little dinner by the fire. Then around 2 a.m., something woke me up. At first, I thought it was an animal. I'd heard raccoons, deer, even a black bear once. But this was different. No footsteps. No snuffling or growling, just a click. A soft mechanical click from somewhere near the tree line, like a camera shutter. I sat up in my sleeping bag, heart thumping. The fire had died. Everything was pitch black except the faint moonlight through the trees. I held my breath, straining to hear more. Click, this time closer. I grabbed my flashlight and scanned the woods. Nothing. Just trees swaying, wind brushing through branches. I didn't sleep much after that. When morning came, I found something. Roughly 20 feet from my tent, tucked at the base of a tree trunk, was a small leather case. Moldy, weather-worn. I hesitated before touching it. It looked like it had been sitting there a while. But curiosity won out. Inside was an old Polaroid camera, still intact, just dusty. The kind with the accordion body and the click flash that made you feel like you were in the 80s again. But it wasn't mine. I thought maybe someone had dropped it years ago, but the thing was clean on the inside. Dry. I pressed the shutter just to see. It worked. I opened the film door, not expecting anything, but a fresh cartridge was already inside. I don't know much about photography, but even I knew this stuff expires. Still, it seemed untouched. So I took a picture of the river. Out came a photo. Slow, whirring. Classic Polaroid. I shook it a bit and waited. When the image came into view, I froze. It wasn't the river, it was me. Me asleep in the tent, taken from maybe 5 feet away. My face turned slightly, mouth open, arms outside the sleeping bag. The background was completely black. That photo was taken last night. I dropped the camera, heart pounding. Suddenly, all those clicks I heard the night before came rushing back to me. I packed up camp immediately. No breakfast, no second guessing. I just shoved everything in my pack and started hiking back toward the car. The whole time I couldn't stop looking behind me. Branches snapped. I saw movement in my peripheral vision, but every time I turned, there was nothing. And the forest felt different. Still, not silent. Still, like it was waiting. It took me 5 hours to get back to the trailhead. When I reached the gravel pull-off, I was covered in sweat, mud, and pine needles. I tossed my gear into the trunk, slammed it shut, and turned to open the driver's door. There was a Polaroid on the windshield, taped right to the glass, crisp, dry, fresh. It was a photo of me, taken from behind, hiking through the forest just hours earlier. And next to me, barely visible behind a tree, was a man, or something like a man. Thin, tall, pale, wearing no clothes, no shoes, just watching me. Head tilted, eyes that looked like they'd never seen sunlight, and hands, too long for a person, bony fingers wrapped around a tree trunk. I wanted to puke. I ripped it down, crumpled it, threw it into the passenger seat, and drove. Hard. I didn't stop until I hit Gatlinburg. I booked a cheap motel and sat in the tub with the water running, cold until my skin went numb. I should have gone home, burned the photos, moved on, but I didn't. I kept the camera. I don't know why. Maybe I thought I needed to understand it. Maybe I thought if I figured out where it came from, it would all make sense. Over the next few days, I took more pictures. Random ones. My bedroom, my fridge, the outside of my apartment. At first, nothing weird, but then they started showing people in places where there were no people. A man standing behind me in my kitchen, a woman under my bed, a child sitting on the edge of my bathtub, smiling. None of them moved. They were just there. Until the last photo. It was of me again, in bed, taken from inches away. The image wasn't still like the others. It was blurred, like something had moved. The moment I saw that photo, my bedroom light shut off. I didn't touch the switch. I was too far away. And then, that click, from the corner of the room. But there was no flash. No photo came out. Just darkness. And breathing. Since then, I haven't seen the camera. It's gone. Disappeared from my desk like it was never there. But every few days I find a Polaroid on my doormat, always of me, always from somewhere I thought I was alone. I don't camp anymore. I barely sleep. And sometimes, on the edge of sleep, I hear it. That's the end of the road, friends. 3 stories. 3 ordinary men. 3 objects that should have been harmless. But that's the thing about Appalachia. Its darkest paths don't need monsters. Just time, silence, and something for you to carry home. If you felt that cold breath on your neck tonight, go ahead and hit like. Help me reach 10,000 subscribers by clicking that subscribe button, if you dare, and share your own haunted experience. In the comments, let others know. They're not alone. You've been listening to Dr. Bonechill. And remember, some roads never really end. They just wait until you come back.